Hey guys, this is gonna be a guide on how to start Cardistry. I'm doing this like from the very basics, like very beginner level stuff. So let's get into it. I get this question all the time on how to start Cardistry, and it's great. It's a great question. And the reason it's not so obvious is because Cardistry is actually very new, and there isn't really a cutout path yet for new people, and I hope to kind of break that cycle. You might have to kind of skip around if you're more advanced or less advanced. I realize like it's not really linear, the progression, so you might know some of the stuff, you might not. So in this video, I will be teaching you like some cardistry so that you can kind of start somewhere. It's grindy. It's gonna be like a lot of just repeating and dropping cards and bending cards. So the first thing to go over is what cards to use, and this sort of matters. This is gonna sound crazy, but like there's really only one manufacturer in the world that prints good cards that like actually fan and spread and feel good, and that's the United States Playing Card Company. And this is not my opinion, this is just straight up like the fact of the matter. They have been printing cards since like forever, so it's really only them so far. Just for comparison, I'm gonna be using a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, right? And this is just like, it feels disgusting. You can feel the plastic on it, like it's just really like waxy, right? And with the paper deck, you can kind of feel its soft edges, and like these are a smooth finish, so they kind of feel waxy, but like you can see how well this fans and stuff. So trust me, if I could use any deck of cards, I would. Like I shuffle cheese on my videos, so it's not like I'm trying to avoid certain companies or something. It's just the fact of the matter. You can start with anything, right? I could use that Yu-Gi-Oh deck and learn a different genre of moves. I don't always have to like spread the cards, but the edges are rough. It's just not gonna feel as great. Like if you're gonna go out of your way to buy a deck of cards, then I recommend anything by USPCC. This is like $4 at like any store if you're in the US, or it's gonna be a little bit harder if you're overseas. I do realize there's a lot of international people watching, but it's always gonna say at the bottom the United States Playing Card Company, and that's kind of what you wanna look out for. Sometimes it doesn't say it on the box directly. You kind of have to look around and see if it says USPCC, or see if the brand itself usually prints with them. They'll most likely always print with them because they're the only manufacturer, like I said, that's like decent. Also, if you want to buy cards, I have a promo code, 10% off your order. It's Cardistry at illusionist.com. So just to summarize, any USPCC deck, and then if you can't get your hands on one, it's fine. It won't be the end of the world, but it will limit what you will be able to do. And that goes for also if the deck is very old, and even if the deck is very new, you might be limited to what you can do in the other way, right? So there might be moves that are way easier to do if the deck is really old. So that's kind of how you find a deck of cards, is you look for the one company that can actually print them. And yeah, okay, so let's kind of get into like opening a deck of cards. Okay, so I have a new deck of bicycle cards. These are jumbo on the front, but like it doesn't really matter what's going on. As long as they're bikes, then it's gonna say United States Playing Card Company, and you're good. So one thing to go over is that I'm over a soft surface, right? So we're gonna be dropping cards a lot. That's just a part of the game. It's gonna be a grind. This is like what cardistry is about. If you have a carpet, if you have a table with like a mouse pad on it or something, do that, maybe over your bed. So all these decks probably are gonna have this sticker on it. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just kind of like push, right? And I'm gonna shove my thumb in, and I'm gonna do this kind of quick because I don't wanna crease the box, but yeah, you just kind of take your fingers and you swoop in, and then you break the sticker, right? And then boom, right? That was kind of rough on that, but usually you can just pull it out, and then boom. Now you got a fresh pack of cards. Welcome to Cardistry. So if you bought a bike deck, you're gonna have these two ad cards, and that doesn't matter. You're also gonna have 2 jokers, and I like to keep them in because it's cardistry. It doesn't really matter. Like, we're not gonna be playing games with this deck. I'm gonna start with the deck in my non-dominant hand, which is my left, and place it into dealer's grip, right? So what I'm doing, basically, if I had my palm open, I would keep my index towards the front of the deck, and then all the other fingers go towards the long edge. And this thumb just kind of rests on the side, right? So I'm not over gripping. Try not to like put it deep into your fingers. Keep it loose, keep it chill, right? I kind of elevate it. So there's kind of this little gap that's comfortable for me. So I want you to take your pinky and put it all the way around to this edge of the deck. And again, I still want that elevation just a little bit, because if it's deep down, it's gonna kind of hurt your pinky. So a little elevated, a little more security back here. I'm keeping it casual, still got that huge space in my palm. Also, when you're holding the cards, you want the deck pretty square, right? You might be able to feel it when the edges are like this and you go in for something and it feels really awkward. You can actually just square up the deck with your thumb, like rubbing your thumb across the edges, and these fingers just kind of get them adjusted. And this is kind of why the straddle grip is nice. It keeps the deck very even. Just by the way, keep your hands moving, keep your wrists healthy, you know, do like warm up your fingers and don't stress them out, and your wrists too, like don't overdo it. Now this is where, if you're using a USPCC deck, then there's gonna be this ability to spread the cards. And most decks can't do this if they're like plastic coated or something gross like that. So go into your dealer's grip or straddle grip, whatever you prefer right now, and just kind of take your other hand and take your thumb and just slide it into these fingers, and then take these fingers and grab more cards and kind of feel what it's like to just maneuver the deck, right? It's a pretty secure thing. I would focus on how the cards kind of stick to each other. You can see how they kind of just cascade out from each other, almost like they're magnetic. It's a really good feeling. And with the spread, like, you can always experiment with like the shape of it, right? So you can kind of go this way, and I like this way, right? It kind of looks like the lapel spread, but it's not, right? So experiment. So now that we're kind of getting comfortable just holding the cards, spreading through them, taking your pinky off and on and all that, we can just kind of like break in the cards, right? So there might be a little bit stiff for most people. I want you to just riffle through the cards and just see what it's like. Place some sort of contact in the middle of the deck or another center point, right? So if I'm riffling this way, I'll need something to kind of hold the deck down as I riffle through, right? And you've probably done this with like a book or something, so I might be over explaining. But yeah, just kind of give it a few riffles, turn the deck over, and do it again. So let's learn the swivel cut real quick. I'm gonna be coming in with my middle and thumb, and notice how I'm like towards my pinky side. I grab the back and the front, and then I have my index that's free, and I just kind of lift a packet and put it in the crotch of my thumb. And boom, you can do that as many times as you like before closing. You might be able to pick up on how my positions naturally change in my base hand for what I'm trying to do. I wouldn't worry too much about that yet. Just kind of focus on what's comfortable, and you'll naturally get to what is more optimal for each situation, right? So it's gonna be annoying if I come in with my thumb and I'm hitting my pinky, right? So it's not very important that I have the pinky there. Some basic moves, I think maybe that's a good way to kind of just get your hands ready for what's about to happen. Because I mean, with this, you'll be able to learn all sorts of stuff, right? So even now, without a lot of moves, you're able to make these little motions look a lot better. Even just holding a deck of cards might feel a little bit more natural to you, and with time, like I said, this is going to be a grind, so with time you'll be able to make it look a lot more natural. Big thing for a lot of cardistry is playing with how much pressure you're applying to the cards. Even I have like problems with that. There's this move called curly Q, right? And this depends a lot on how much pressure you're using. Let's say if I did like too much, then I might just start spitting out cards, but if I do too little, then then I don't have enough going out, right? And same thing kind of applies for these swivel cuts. If I'm doing a lot of pressure, then it's just not going to look the same as someone who's doing it like that, right? Or if I'm doing too much pressure here, you're really going to notice the shift between this guy, right? The guy who's able to just spread the cards out. So just acknowledge the idea of pressure and play with it. Not even that the pressure can be inhibiting to some moves, but it can just make it look off. And cardistry is super visual. It's all about like how you look while doing it, and people are gonna pick up on this tenseness. So over time your cards are gonna like bend and warp and stuff, and it's really not that big of a deal. Like you can see throughout the deck, it's not like fully perfectly flush, right? I can just kind of give a little bend back and do a little riffle and cut it in and act like it never happened, right? It's not such a big deal, especially if you're like a cardist, then it really does not matter, and you're gonna be bending cards all the time, and you're just gonna undo that bend like constantly. And over time, your deck of cards will break in, be a little less slippery, and get like gross at some point. Like it'll be super nasty. Just remember to like wash your hands, and you can alternate through other decks of cards if you have them. But bottom line is they're gonna like start to get old, especially if it's your first deck. You're gonna end up breaking it down and really destroying it. I have decks that like don't even fit in their boxes anymore. Like this deck is fully destroyed. Like you can see it's not like a gross thing going on with it, but like all the edges are all frayed, because if you drop them on the corners, they like fray and bend and stuff. Just keep that in mind. If they're gonna get old, you're gonna drop cards, you're gonna have to grind. If a card ever reaches like a terrible condition, then you can always just throw it out. It doesn't really matter because we're doing cardistry, we're not doing like magic and we need every single card or something. This is something you can kind of invest your time into and play with for like a long time. And this is the dribble, right? So with the dribble, it's like super crazy. You can start doing it sideways and upwards, and you can get it like super big. Like it's crazy. So to dribble really nicely, don't dribble with your index curled in. It's gonna cause it to be like a little bit too rough. So we're gonna grab the deck with the middle finger, the ring, the pinky, and you can kind of copy that placement right on that short edge, and then the thumb kind of towards the back index, right? Now I have my index finger just pointing out, and I'm gonna put it right on the edge, and that's how I'm gonna bend the deck. So I have this grip, and I'm pushing up with my index, and I'm gonna scroll through with my thumb. Super easy, right? Hopefully. And when you're dribbling, I like to hold it into a straddle grip, right? So my pinky is in the back, and you can see how never clears these fingers. It gets high, but it doesn't like go up above, right? And then starts not being able to be caught. That's usually what's happening when you're doing that. So kind of cup your hand as if you're already holding the deck. So now you can do it backwards, you can do it forwards, you can do it very forwards. And that's kind of how you get the anaconda dribble. You can do it this way, you can do it sideways, and you can just practice this and get it like super big and, do all that. So I hope that wasn't too easy. I just kind of wanted to give you some tools to like hold cards and feel them out and whatever. So let me know. I'm gonna start teaching more advanced stuff soon. It's just I don't want everyone to like quit off the bat. Okay, wait, let's teach one more. Also learn a one-handed cut, because I think that'd be cool if you guys had a challenge and it'd be fun. Like I said, this stuff is a grind, so don't give up after not getting it in the first try. I'm teaching you something hard on purpose because some things are just gonna take a lot of time, but all you have to do is you're just elevating that grip, right? I'm kind of just pulling in the middle and the ring fingers. I'm gonna be kind of gripping with this part of my index and this part of my pinky so that we can elevate the cards in the hand to make space for this packet, right? I'm gonna take my thumb, kind of split half. So you can see that this top packet is being held only by the thumb, the middle, and the ring, nothing else. And there's enough space just for a packet to sit here. And you can see there's a bit of a balance factor, right? It could fall through. Now take your index finger and we're gonna just push all the way up until it touches your thumb. Now you're just gonna hold your index there and let this packet drop, right? And then I can move my index finger out of the way now and just close, right? So you can close like that. We're splitting, take our index, we push all the way up to the thumb, and now we let go of one of the 3 grips we had on this packet, right? So boom. So it has a little air time for a second, right? And then now it's balancing on the index finger, and this is just kind of chilling here, being pushed in by the index as well. And I'm just gonna drop my index finger down and clear, and then I let go with my thumb. But don't worry if you don't get the Charlet cut down immediately. It's really like not that easy. And in my last video, I actually broke down a revolution cut and turned it into an easier version of that if you wanted to learn maybe like a step behind it. I know it's like a one-handed move, but you can always just like incorporate the other hand just to kind of get the rhythm and the feel down. And then then move into the one-handed fully. Maybe like use 2 cards so that, you know, not everything's falling. There's a lot of like ways to just kind of be creative and find your own way to practice. By the way, your fingers are not too short. Most likely they are not too short. Like, that is not an excuse. Some of the best cardists are like small-handed cardists because they found ways to overcome those challenges. And if you're someone who's willing to overcome that kind of obstacle, then you're someone who's gonna be a monster. You probably are wondering, like, what about the rest of cardistry? Like, how do you get into that? So if you're already ahead of where I'm teaching right now, you can always just like look up cardistry tutorials, like beginner, and hopefully you'll learn some stuff. I'll put like a list of moves that maybe you could learn right now at like a beginner to intermediate level, and then hopefully that'll help. It's kind of hard to find cardistry when you don't know where to look for it, so I started making a playlist on my channel that you can check out, and I recommend following all the people you can that do cardistry on Instagram because most of the community is there. I think there's also a subreddit, but it's not very active. And this is kind of life advice, but I think everyone should have a hobby or some sort of art form that they should participate in. When I first got into cardistry, I learned how to film, I learned how to edit, I learned about music, I learned about style, I learned about all sorts of things and how to think creatively. It's not just about the cards, it's so much more than that. I would even recommend, if you want to explore magic, you know, do some magic too. You know, it's easy to just like repeat moves over and over, and as you're just holding a deck of cards, you're getting better and gaining experience. So, you know, do whatever you can to just be holding a deck of cards if you want to advance really quick. I think one of the biggest things when you're getting into any of these skill hobbies is that you need some sort of motivation, like friends and community. I think having community is one of the best things you can do for yourself in order to motivate yourself every day to just hold cards. If you have friends to kind of struggle through it with, you know, if you have some friends in real life that you want to pick up cardistry with, that's cool. If you want to join the Discord and kind of start jamming out with me and a lot of other people, then, you know, we have a little Discord server going. We give each other advice. We have fun. That's a good way to keep yourself on track to becoming good and having fun, right? So it's kind of the best of both worlds. I know it's not that serious or anything, but it kind of proves to yourself that you're able to commit to something. So yeah, I hope this helps get you started on your cardistry journey. I really appreciate everyone that reached out to me asking like how to get into it. There's a lot more, obviously I didn't cover, but I think this is a great way to start out. I think if I had this resource when I was first starting out, then I'd be super happy with this yet. But I appreciate everyone for the first video response too. That was like insane. A lot of people reached out to me saying how helpful it was. Thank you a lot. I hope I can get you guys to a whole different level than what was achieved before, right? That my goal is to just kind of give you guys the tools to just surpass all of us. And I just want to see what's possible in the next generation of cardists. Like, it's gonna be nuts. Thank you guys like a ton. It means a lot. It means a lot that people are even interested in cardistry. For a while I was even like ashamed that I did cardistry because I was like, oh, this is so nerdy. But it's really cool like how over the past few months I've just realized how cool cardistry really is. So I really appreciate you. Like I said, I've been doing this for 10 years, so like to have that take over like half of my life and not having to be like ashamed of it anymore is so cool. Like, thank you so much. All right guys, peace out.